with Shizzle Dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Shout out to Rob Cat. He let me know the original show that I did. It had no sound, so here I am. Hopefully, I can get a real quick mic check. So y'all see the title, but I'm gonna wait for a mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. I'm gonna wait for a mic check. Because for some reason, my last show didn't have, well, because of this stupid thing, I didn't have no sound. You're good. Okay, thanks, Rob Cat. Yeah, it's because of this dumb thing right here, this transceiver. I took it out too late and it screwed up my sound. So here's the title. Do you hear my truck? You shouldn't be able to hear my truck. If you hear my truck, that means it's messed up. Hopefully you don't hear my truck. You should just be able to hear my voice. We'll wait for a response from Robcat. Sounds fine. Okay. So you see the title. Robcat, I had got a call from Lotus. She said that in the news they were making it seem like Trump removed the bust of MLK, and I was like, "Oh, really?" And she's like, "Yeah, everybody, well, not everybody, people on social media who were very highly emotional made it seem like Trump just threw the thing in the trash can." And I was like, and then when she further read it, she said, "Oh, it was replaced by Winston Churchill." I said, "Oh." I can explain that real easily, very, very easily explained, and I'm glad she called me because people took that and ran with it. So what Donald Trump did was return the bus in its original position. When they honored Martin Luther King, it was put in a certain position, and after World War II, to honor Winston Churchill, it was put in a certain position. But because Biden, when he came into office, now when Trump was in office, the bus where Martin Luther King was originally placed, it was placed where it was originally placed when Trump was in his first term. Same with Winston Churchill. When Biden was in office, he was pressured by Black Lives Matter, pressured by somebody. I don't know. Kamala Harris. I don't know. Kamala Harris don't like black people. I don't know who told Biden it was a good idea to take Winston Churchill. What's going on, Relax and Talk Sports? To take Winston Churchill. Okay, well, first of all, Rob Cat, Relax and Talk Sports. Did you guys hear about Donald Trump throwing away MLK's bus? I know I'm being dramatic, but okay, moved his MLK bust out of the Oval Office. Did you guys hear that? Because, I'm glad Lotus called me so I can explain this the way it's supposed to be explained. Yeah, okay. So, did they say he threw it away or just threw it in the trash can? Or, I mean, what did they say about it? Relax and Talk Sports. I want to be entertained because I already know the goddamn people got all emotional about it. I'm entertained by just the emotionalism. Thankfully, I hadn't heard about that. Yeah, I haven't either because my algorithm doesn't do the, well, first of all, um, my algorithm doesn't do the emotional, trying to stir my emotions because I don't get stirred up over emotions. Now, um, it seems when they do emotional stuff, they target women like Lotus, they target women like I don't know, like Miss Rowland, you know, because these are women, and so I think women, not all women, but a lot of women are easily distracted and easily triggered by emotional stuff. So if they say, "Oh, Donald Trump he removed the bus out of the White House," and so yeah, if you're an emotional person, then you'll get caught up in that, not understanding that the original. I'm not surprised something Trump did was taken out of context. Glad I heard about this from you with context. Yeah, it's simple. I mean, it's simple because when they gave the bus to Martin Luther King, it was put in a certain position. It was put in position A during the 60s. After World War II, obviously, which was way before the 60s, when Martin Luther King was a little boy, they placed, I'm sorry, let's back this up. Winston Churchill bus, when he was honored after World War II, after the defeat of Nazi Germany, his bus was put in the Oval Office, position A. Later on, during the 60s, after the whole Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all that, Lyndon B. Johnson, the riots, Martin Luther King was put in position B, which is not in the Oval Office. Okay? Martin Luther King was in position B, and Winston Churchill was in position A for decades. It wasn't until Joe Biden came in office. Joe Biden, who we now know who was ruled by the auto pen. Let me say that again. Biden, who was ruled by the auto pen, not knowing, basically under his administration, Winston Churchill and Martin Luther King's bus that were in their position for decades, were switched around. So now they put Martin Luther King under the Biden administration where Winston Churchill was, and Winston Churchill where Martin Luther King was. So Trump gets in office and is like, wait a minute. Winston Churchill was here for centuries, and Martin Luther King was over here for centuries, decades, centuries, decades. So why was it moved around? So what I'm going to do is put Winston Churchill back in his original position and Martin Luther King back in his original position. Now, people not knowing their histories and people being emotional will go all up in arms. Trump is a racist. Why would he take Martin Luther King out of the position and back to the original position that he was in and put Winston Churchill back in the White House? Why would Donald Trump do that? Not understanding the history that Donald Trump put them back in their original positions where they stood for decades. Decades. And so again, for people who don't know that history, because Lotus called me and she didn't know the history. She's like, I'm glad I called you because I didn't know the history. And I said, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, that when she said Winston Churchill, oh, I already knew. I said, oh yeah, Winston Churchill bus is older than Martin Luther King's bus. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Martin Luther King was a child during World War II. Because Martin Luther King, when he was assassinated, was in his 30s, maybe even 20s. Both Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were taken out at a very early age. So these were young men. So one can only believe and assume that Martin Luther King was only a child when they put Winston Churchill's bus in the White House, in the Oval Office. And so I'm hoping I straightened out everything for everybody, because the way she read it, it seemed like Donald Trump just took the bus and just threw it away. News will try to spin as much as they can. But yeah, no, he just put it back in its original position where it has been for decades, and Winston Churchill back in the position where it has been for decades. Now, a lot of people who might hear about Martin Luther King may not even know who Winston Churchill is. So I know y'all know, but let me just say this for the sake of saying it. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of England during World War II. A very important ally, along with, so it was FDR, Winston Churchill, and Joseph Stalin were all allies against Adolf Hitler. So, yeah, this is a very important part of history. And this is why I do not support taking busts down or generals down anywhere in our history. Because if y'all remember during the Biden administration, uh, I want to say during the Biden administration, and they tried it during Trump's administration, but Trump said, if you damn harm a statue, you're gonna do life in prison. You're gonna do time in prison. I can't remember how much time. I don't know if it was 10 years, but regardless, what I'm saying is that we got to know our history, good or bad or indifferent. And, I embrace the history of American history, good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is, and we learn from it, and we push on from it, and we move on from it, and we learn from it, and we try not to repeat it, right? So I say that to say this. Thanks for the likes, y'all. Like I said, I'm not going to be on very long. Hey, y'all press the, uh-oh, wait a minute. I think my sound went out again. Y'all press the one if y'all, oh, I'm not surprised something did. Y'all press the one if y'all can hear me. Okay, I understand. Just Trump restoring order, just like immigration, U.S. global trade rights. Okay, thank you, Robcat. Yeah, right. So that's all Trump did was put MLK back in his original position and Churchill back in his position. Now, being that he's a commander in chief, being that well, first of all, he's putting it back in position. But if you want to, what I think about what Trump did, in my opinion, I mean, you look at Martin Luther King, who was a civil rights leader who dealt with a, domestic issue, and FDR passed some, passed some legislation according to that. Okay. And then we look at Winston Churchill, who we had to bail out and who helped us assist in fighting Nazi Germany. So whether you think one position's more superior than another position, what Trump simply did was just put the bus back in the original positions again, because Winston Churchill was there originally, and Biden moved it, and so Trump moved it right back. He moved MLK back to his original position, and Winston Churchill back to his original position. That's it. So why the news would, well, I know why the news would do it, because the news wants to target black women, wants to target white liberals, wants to target people who are emotionally triggered by this kind of stuff, and who are trying to, their objective is to try to paint Trump as a racist, as a bigot, as somebody who, they're trying to paint this picture because they're grasping for straws, and so what better way to try to find something that Trump did, and then Trump moving MLK bus back in his real position, that's supposed to be the news? And so stuff like this doesn't appear on my feed, and this is why I didn't know about it, but like I said, she brought it to my attention, and this is why, and I had to tell Roland this the other day, because she had some title that she wanted me to jump on about some African woman, and something about the African woman saying bad stuff about, I guess, black women. I guess they're using the workplace. And I was like, that has nothing to do with me. But again, I understood it, her being a woman, you have feminine conversations and you have masculine conversations. It's just like, I don't think us being at the brink of World War III is not a feminine conversation. This woman ranting about, oh my gosh, I don't like black people in it. This one lady who was insignificant, who got fired from her job, when I understand what Roland posted, is not significant. As a man, I'm not drawn to this. I'm not drawn to this kind of stuff. I'm drawn to more issues like maybe, Israel and Gaza, Ukraine and Russia, that could possibly draw us into war and blow up the whole planet. So as a man, I'm more concerned about this than some, or some what other, again, I think, but I'm understanding, that the women I deal with are girly girls, and women are most likely to be triggered by things of racism and oh, Donald Trump did this and then that, as opposed to where we could be on the work of World War III, and we can wake up one day, Rob Cat, wake up one day, relax and talk sports, if we're lucky, and have missiles blow down every skyscraper. If we're, well, I wouldn't even say that we're lucky, because then we got to deal with the radiation sickness and, have all type of cancers. But as a man, this is what concerns me. This is what concerns me as a man. You guys might hear me say, there's two things in life. There are political conversations and there's Mickey Mouse conversations. Let me say this again. No offense, Relax and Talk Sports, no offense. But there's political conversations and everything else is Mickey Mouse conversations. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by this? Meaning that the conversations I can talk about have the potential to change our lives forever. Nuclear bombs falling on the city can disrupt the system and change our lives forever, can change our health forever. And so I don't do the Mickey Mouse, I don't do the TMZ. Am I making myself clear here? So I'm not going to partake in the feminine conversations, the Mickey Mouse conversations, the TMZ conversations, the nigga conversations. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to bring y'all is straight politics, dealing with things that affect us domestically and the potential to disrupt our lives. So I do a lot of foreign and domestic policies. That's what I do at the end of the day. If it's not going to affect us as a whole, I don't talk about it. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the P. Diddy. I'm not going to talk about the I don't know. It's just certain things that I'm not going to talk about, because it's not going to. It doesn't make a difference in the rest of our lives. So I hope I'm making myself clear on that. I hope I'm making myself clear. So again, I know you guys understand it as men. Now, Relax and Talk Sports, the reason I said no offense, because I'm going to ask you, makes sense, Rob? Okay, Rob, and see, this is why, and y'all know I love Miss Rowland. I love Miss Rowland, but Miss Rowland is a girly girl. She is a girly girl. She thinks as a woman, she's 100% woman, and so she doesn't understand the concept of masculine conversations and feminine conversations. And so she had a conversation she had a conversation about how the Democrats were spending thousands upon thousands on male voters. That's the topic that I could have contributed to, but no, her being a woman, she is drawn in by some African lady talking crap about people on her job, which are mostly black women. So, I was taught as a man, I don't get involved in women bashing other women. I don't do that. I've said that. I don't know if Miss Rowland knows this or not. I've tried to communicate this to her, and because she thinks like a woman, and she's not supposed to think like a man. But again, I told her there are certain conversations I will partake in, and certain conversations I'm not going to partake in. And lately, she's been on the TMZ. When I say TMZ, meaning things that stir up your emotions. Now, guys, I know Miss Rowland is a nice-looking woman, and so I say that, what I'm saying is that, yeah, the conversations have to be more masculine if I'm going to take part, or at least be a balance of masculine, feminine, her being feminine, me being masculine. But if they're all feminine, if they're all TMZ, I can't partake in it. And so, yeah. So, anywho, yeah, I hope that I made myself clear on the whole Martin Luther King bus. That is to draw women in. And a lot of guys, because we're attracted to the women, Sometimes we will get caught up in the Mickey Mouse, the TMZ, and just outright nigga shit. Now, relax and talk sports. Sports is not a feminine topic, it's masculine, but it's to distract us. Let me ask you this, relax and talk sports. When the fall of Rome was happening, what did Caesar do to distract the people? What was Caesar doing to distract the people? Relax and talk sports. Relax talk sports. I mean, you think he might be at work, but what did they do during the fall of Rome? And their borders were falling. There were invasions. What did Caesar do to distract the people from what was going on? To get their minds off of it. Relax and talk sports. Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me? Are you there? All part of God's design, men and women. That's true. Yeah, yeah. Just time for Juneteenth as well. Okay. All right. I guess Relax Talk Sports is not in the chat no more. But yeah, men and women, um, especially real masculine men and real feminine women, just have different. We just relate to two different things. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying these women are wrong. I'm saying these women are distracted by things that are geared and targeted towards them. And then when it's not targeted towards us, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little difficult to explain, but as a man, I'm not distracted by the TMZ. I'm not distracted by and because, like I said, there's some masculine things too. Men watch sports, but I don't watch sports. I like sports. I like playing sports, but I don't watch sports. When you know the history and the fall of Rome, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And that's no attack on you, Black Soft Sports. But what I'm saying is that they will bring sports to distract us. They will bring things. They do distractions on many different levels. And if men like ourselves are not distracted on the TMZ and Mickey Mouse stuff, then they will look at this shit. Then they will bring the sports. The sports is the last resort because the sports work during the fall of Rome. They didn't call it sports back then. They called it the games, or they just called it the arena entertainment with the lions and the gladiators. That was the sports back then, but they didn't call it sports. But they used it to distract the people when a lot of things were going on the borders. And so, me understanding this, I understand and I see the distractions. And so the Martin Luther King bus is a big distraction. I can only assume it's to distract the men. No, I'm sorry. Did I say men? It's to distract the women. And some of us men who love women, we get caught up in their distraction. Some of us do. Many of us do. And it's hard to, let me give you an example. Shout out to Miss Rowland. I love Miss Rowland, but she had a show one day, and I think I mentioned this show before. She had a show on Tiffany Hilliard. And Tiffany Hilliard, one of her goons, was like, "Oh, all y'all niggas." He called them niggas, right? He called them the N-word, called them niggas. She got upset about that, but in the same video, there was these firemen who all came to the city council in the same video, and they were complaining about not getting paid. I don't know if I talked about this before. They didn't get paid. So while Miss Rowland was distracted by the guy, the goon, calling everybody the N-word. "Oh, y'all niggas. Say, some of y'all niggas." She goes, "Oh my gosh, he said the N-word. How do you feel about the black son?" And I'm like, I'm looking at the fact that these firemen didn't get paid. Ron, press the one if you there. I'm like, wait a minute, these firemen didn't get paid. They're firemen. They didn't get paid, and They got bills, they got a family to feed and all this, and they did not get paid, and you got distracted by the N-word. So I'm not worried about the N-word, I'm worried about these firemen not getting paid. And so, real simple example. She didn't see what I was talking about. It went right over her head, and I was like, she kept emphasizing on the man saying the N-word, but I'm like, but the guys didn't get paid. That whole Tiffany situation was full of distractions. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Rob. And I get it because in social media, a lot of things, and I'm gonna give you an example. Miss Rowland sends me a lot of stuff on TikTok and Instagram. I don't have neither TikTok or Instagram because I like watching real news. TikTok and Instagram are designed for women. But if you're into that as a woman, that's kind of TikTok-ish Instagram stuff is entertaining, I guess. I'm guessing for women it's entertaining, but as a man, it's not I mean, I don't have TikTok and I don't have Instagram. And I told Miss Rowland this several times. I don't have TikTok, Miss Rowland. I don't have Instagram. I do politics, and it's like it go right over her head. And I just thinking about, oh, she's such a girly girl. She's such a girly girl. You know what? And that's what men. That's what we love about our women. We love about women. We love that they're girly. We like this, and this is what balances. This is where God made us. God made us that way, like you said, Rob. God made men a certain way and women a certain way. And I think that I'm starting to believe, and as intelligent as Miss Rowland is, she's very intelligent. But we don't. What's important to her is not important to me. What's important to me is not important to her. And I blame that on the masculine feminine paradigm. That's all. And it is not to say that she's wrong, not to say if I'm wrong or she's right, I'm right. No, it's just that she's not focused on like these firemen and their pensions and them not getting paid. They had no money to take to their family. They didn't get them wherever the money went, and it didn't go to the firemen getting paid. And it was more important to her that one of her goons called the crowd niggas. And it's like, so, anywho, but that's neither here or there. But what I'm saying, um, I hope me and Roland can come to some agreements on some topics. So if y'all ain't see me over there, it's because we can't agree on the topics. The topics are too feminine. But it's supposed to be feminine because she's a woman. Miss Rowland is a woman, so she's going to come with these feminine topics. And as a man, I'm not going to, I don't see the importance in it because I'm a man. As a man, I don't see the importance in it, So, anywho, I say that to say this. The Martin Luther King bus has just been put back in its original position. And as a person who study, is warology, is that a good term? Studying warology? And me personally, hold on. Okay, let me get going. They got asphalt, man. Shout out to Robcat. Shout out to Relax and Talk Sports. Shout out to everybody that pressed the like. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Miss Rowland. Shout out to Lotus for bringing this to my attention. Lotus is a girly girl, obviously, too. Saying I got girly girls in my family, so I kind of understand what's important to them. They're easily distracted by things that are emotional, that can lead to an emotional, and the Democrats are very good at that. The Democrats are very good at taking emotional stuff, and because we care about a woman, sometimes as men, we get caught up in it. But it's too much stuff going on in the world. They get caught up in the TMZ, the girly girl stuff, all packs, Relax and Talk Sports. Okay, Relax and Talk Sports. Now you were replying, but I said, you know what they called sports back then in Roman times, right? I call it a distraction. Now, there's nothing wrong with sports. Now, sports is very masculine, but what I'm saying is that Deion Sanders and, I don't know, Troy Aikman and all that is not going to make a difference in our lives. However, Zelensky can draw us into the war and ruin all our lives. Do you understand that, Relax and Talk Sports? So I can't relax And I definitely can't talk sports, but shout out to Rex Talk Sports. Y'all subscribe to him, man, because sometimes, we do need to just relax every once in a while. But again, Relax and Talk Sports, what I'm saying is that this Green Goblin by the name of Zelensky, I definitely get it. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you get it, brother, because I'm just a historian by nature, you know what I'm saying? And I study war, and this Green Goblin by the name of Zelensky is really trying, hey, Mr. Black Sun, what's going on, U.S. Army? What's going on, man? I'm just letting people know about the Martin Luther King bus and why Trump, it's all about balance. Um, Rob, when we're on the brink of civil war, it's hard for me to concentrate on Al Sharpton and Tiffany Hilliard, and it's hard for me to do that. As a man, it's hard for me because this Green Goblin by the name of Zelensky is trying to drag us into war. If you don't remember, he said, "Yeah, you're gonna feel it too." And Trump is like, "Don't tell us how to feel." That is some real shit. When he said we're playing with World War III, I can't relax as a man because I know warfare. And then we got the situation with Benjamin Netanyahu, and I like Benjamin Netanyahu, but he's trying to drag us into war with Iran. So right now, all I can focus on is war. That's a proper balance for this time. Okay, Rob, you got to explain it. The proper balance for this time. You got to explain it because right now, the only thing I see is us going into war with Iran and us going to war with Russia. And these two wars have nothing to do with us, even though, yeah, we've had a covenant with Israel for a long time, but Zelensky, so, and then China. I'm not going to even speak on China. Y'all subscribe to Lay's Real Talk. She handles the China situation. Your focus is on the right place right now. Where else can it be focused when we're on the brink of World War III? As men, as men. I'm talking to the men right now. I'm talking to the men. I'm talking to the men. I'm talking to U.S. Army. I'm talking to Rob Cat. I'm talking to Relax and Talk Sports. We're on the verge of World War III. What else are we going to talk about right now? What else is there to talk about right now? See, one thing about y'all subscribe to this channel, we're not going to be caught slipping because I'm going to be steps ahead on what's about to happen or what could happen. I'm very concerned about goddamn missiles now. I don't know if y'all seen the videos because YouTube has banned the videos of the Iranian missiles hitting Israel. Like there were missiles falling on people's cars while they were driving, and you could see them. They won't show that graphic stuff here. And the same with Iran. You've seen Israeli missiles hitting people in Iran. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned. And then you have this madman by the name of Zelensky sitting doing terrorist acts. NATO and the U.S. are backing a terrorist nation like Ukraine. Ukraine is a terrorist nation right now. They're terrorists. They're terrorists right now. That was a terrorist act that they did, bombing, sending drones over there to those nuclear bombers. I think Trump is playing it close to the vest. Okay. Is it on X? It's on Telegram. I don't know if it might be on X. Yeah, you might can find it on X, man. Cause YouTube, man, they're real. I'm discovering YouTube is designed for a feminine audience. They kind of dabble with the politics. Hold on, y'all. Huh? That truck? You got asphalt. Oh, I don't know. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck, I don't know. Shit, oh, shit. Okay, let me call him. Shit. Oh, I got it. All right, damn. All right, y'all, let me go. One of the drivers, I gotta go, y'all. Bye, peace, I'm out. Damn.